I'm doing good, and thank you so much for being on my show, Matt.
No problem.
And
Pleasure.
and was for all people that are listen and watching this podcast because we are broadcasting in 17, approximately 17 different platforms. The
Yeah.
most famous is Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, in addition YouTube, and all diverse, and also Red Illuminate. Um, and with this, we are growing. So what can I say? I feel very blessed. And for now, we come to, like you said, my our friend Paul Hodgson. I always express my great admiration to this beautiful soul and beautiful person. And I'm a big fan of Paul. Everything what he does, he's a great inspiration. And when I
Yeah.
concentrate with the work that you both are working on, and also, Matt, we're looking forward to meet with you again. Also, exclusively focus on your career because you have extent. And for those people that are learning about you, you are a filmmaker too. You were
Yeah.
born in Middlesbrough, North Yorkshire. You started theater at the age of 11. You want to be an actor until you decide continue with the education and film industry and television production, and you attend several colleges, so you have very good background, education background, and also you also work in various productions, like as a writer, editor, camera operator. You were as a presenter on radio and television and major platforms like a BBC and Sky. So
Mhm.
wonderful! What a beautiful, honor to have you on my show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be
As,
here. But yeah,
uh,
extensive back catalogue there of career and education, definitely.
Yes, yes, yes. I know. It's I always I like to highlight that because the purpose of this show is also for inspiration purposes, and I have followers also, the teenagers and very young people. They asking what can I do for me to start to be in the entertainment industry, and I
Mhm.
like to highlight people like you that have that background, and some other people that make great job and don't have a education background in the film industry, but they have a strong experience. This is was also very good. All right, but before we start, I want to show you what I have in my collection. Paul, I'm a big fan of Paul, and
Oh
also
wow.
I have this wonderful book, the documentary we're gonna discuss in this interview. Very
Yeah,
beautiful,
brilliant.
and he was very kind to autograph both of my books. On this one, it was a dedication to me, and this one to my husband Victor and myself. So
Oh,
what a
that's nice.
beautiful piece,
Yeah.
a souvenir of Paul. And so what about Solid Venom? I was just reading the brief history about what happened. It was many years you've been working as a writer. You were one of the writers, and also Matthew Sharknock and Stuart Unram. But before, there was more people involved with another projection. There was
Mhm.
like something related with Dracula, Whitby. Whitby called a lot to my attention. Then I will tell you a story something after you explain about that. Can you tell us about a little bit history for people to know about the Solid Venom project?
Sure. It was a project that I started with a friend of mine called Joseph Tan
Mm-hmm.
back in 2007. It was one of these bright ideas that was writers like to have in the middle of the night where the light bulb turns on, you suddenly get this great idea and you're jotting notes down. And before you know it, it's morning, it's daylight, and you've spent all night writing notes for a film. Um, with me living about 30 miles from Whitby, which is where Bram Stoker had the idea for Dracula, and it's a massive tourist area in our region. We thought at the time that there was nothing really um, using Whitby or filming Whitby as the backdrop for any Dracula film. It's always been when there has been Dracula films or TV programs made about him, they've always based it down south and used like Cornwall or other external locations. We wanted to put Whitby back on the map. We wanted to use Whitby as the backdrop, but not only for the area itself, but as a nod to Bram Stoker. So we got the script, we got the first draft up and running with it, and we were about to film like a concept trailer for it because we were looking at funding. Joe was quite well connected in the industry, so we were looking at concept trailer. But unfortunately, he had an underlying health condition,
Mhm.
and he had to go for a heart and lung operation, which was successful. But unfortunately, he contracted blood poisoning, and he sadly passed away a week after his operation. So I decided to shelve the project. I didn't feel right carrying it on my own without Joe. It wasn't until about 2 years later that a friend of mine who also knew Joe said, "Well, let's do it. Let's go with the concept trailer. Let's make something of it as a tribute to him." We started doing it, but we had a lot of financial hiccups. We had permissions that we had to film in Whitby turned down, so there was a lot of production issues to the point where I just decided, if it was meant to be, it was meant to be, and it wasn't at this time. So we decided to just to pull the plug on the whole project. It wasn't until 2019 when I was sat on during a filming break on Given Wings, where I was one of the sound operators, the boom operator on the film. I knew Paul previously from working on a short film with him, An Unfortunate Woman. Um, and Paul was on the set this day, and it was me and the director of Given Wings. We was just sat talking, and Paul asked what was my next project after this film, and I told him, I said, I'm going back into writing, and he asked me if I'd wrote anything, and I told him about Solid Venom, and his ears pricked up. I could see his eyes winding up, his attention. I'd got his attention drawn in. He said, "Send me over the script, let me have a read, and I can give you some pointers for the script." So I was like, "Okay, yeah, what I'm going to do, why not?" He read the script, came back to me a couple of weeks later and said, "I absolutely love this. This has to be our next project. It's a great story, great film." He gave me some editing points for the script, and we just started working from there and built it to what it is now. So we are getting a lot of retention with it all of a sudden, because there's some Dracula films being made.
Mhm.
Universal Pictures have done one called The Voyage of the Demeter. There was one recently with Nicolas Cage called Reinfeld. So the Dracula genre is coming back. Um, so now I think now's the time for us to make Solid Venom and to get out there. And we're obviously doing something right, because we've been nominated, I think, now for about 9 awards, and we've won about 4 or 5 of those out of the 9 nominations. So we're obviously doing something right.
Awesome. Yes, I read the story. And like you say, and wait bit. That's so. Is this a planning to do the film? Is on the pre-production? What is the stage?
Yeah, it's in pre-production stage now. We've got a cast.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting locations. We're hopefully going to start shooting a concept trailer later on this year. We've
Mm-hmm.
we in Whitby they have the Bram Stoker festival where people dress up as vampires and obviously other gothic outfits. It's a big festival that happens in Whitby every year, and we're looking at premiering the trailer at that festival, and then next year we're going to be shooting Solid Venom and premiering it at the Bram Stoker Festival in Whitby next October.
Fantastic, and looking forward for that. And like you said, that it's interesting that how we has inspired so many for the Dracula stories, and no one has the idea or startup to do a Dracula feature film there.
Yeah,
Interesting, interesting. And the reason I connected with Whitby because in one of my previous jobs, because I work in higher education, I've been working for almost 20 years. But before I have a position for international programs and exchange programs, and I remember I make the arrangements to send group of students to spend in a month in Whitby, literature, English students, connected with the literature world.
yeah,
And I remember they say that, oh, I hear noises. Oh, I can feel the energy of the Dracula and all this. Or now, can you imagine? And reality, making the feature film. What a beautiful idea.
yeah.
Awesome.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. One thing about Whitby, since it, well, probably from Victoria times, it hasn't really changed that much. You've still got the remnants of the abbey. You've got a
Hmm.
church that stood on a cliffside for hundreds of years. Up where the only way you can get to it is up 199 steps. So
Hmm.
all these old aspects of Whitby are still there, which is I think from a filmmaker's point of view is great for filming and great for backdrops. So it's something if you're going to make a horror film, it's got to be a vampire film at Whitby.
Yes, exactly. And I saw they have fabulous cast. Rachel Warren, Katie
Yeah,
Sheridan, and Dalian Watson, and also these wonderful, talented actors and actresses were and give them wings.
there were,
And
yeah,
fabulous, fabulous choice. Yes, yes, yes. I'm yeah, looking forward for your film, and especially put all the trajectory. I'm speaking about you in the sense that you start from the beginning and you lost a friend, but you have to interrupt making this project because of work schedule with your partner, and then years later connecting with Paul, making this happen. No, this is just a scenario that for those people who wants to learn about the film industry, that there's a lot of challenges, and there's sometimes we have plans or people have plans, but the destiny changed, the path, and and everything comes. I believe that everything comes at the right time with the right people, and so
that's
you're
it.
doing
I
great.
mean,
Yes.
it's took me a lot of years to get where I am within the industry. And I've always wanted to work in film and television. Me mum, before she became a nurse, she was a dancer in theatre, so she did a lot of theatre.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get my entertainment talent side from my mum, really. But it's something I've always wanted to do. I went to our college and got me diploma in film and television production. I started dabbling with film extra work, and I was offered a part in a small part in The Fifth Element, Luke Besson's
Mm-hmm.
sci-fi film with Gary Oldman and Bruce Willis. But something fortunately came up, and I had to drop. I couldn't do the film, and I was absolutely devastated because when I saw the film in the cinema, I was like, oh no, that was a great opportunity to put my foot in the door, and I didn't take it. I was too hesitant. And a few things like that do come where you get a big opportunity and you just do I take it? Don't I take it? And you start weighing up the financial cost of it. That because if you go and be an extra or work away from film, it can be a financial burden to get things going until you start getting paid for doing that role. So it is a big step, and that's what was kind of playing on my mind at the time because I was still quite young. But as time went on, I went to university, got my degree, and started getting freelance work with the BBC, with Sky Television. Started working on feature films, and it got me back into that industry on a whole. And it's once you've got your foot in the door, the it opens so many doors and opportunities for you to go. So if you do get the chance, take it, grasp it.
Exactly.
Because my first acting job came in 2000 and I think it was 2004 for an independent film called Is That It? And it was my film debut. I had a small part in that role, but also I got to work with the talented Faye Marcy, who people might know from Game of Thrones. She was the waif in Game of
Mm-hmm.
Thrones. She was recently in the Star Wars Andor series.
Mm-hmm.
Her careers just took off, and it was both of our film debuts. So for us to both be in such an independent film and see our careers start and going off in different directions, but I mean, Faye's has just catapulted out there, and mine's now slowly because I'm taking the brave step. He's starting to think, you know what, life's short, just go and do it, and that's where I am today now.
Fabulous, fabulous. No, thanks for sharing your story. Like I said to you at the beginning, my show is also is first of all, it's a human connections, but at the same time, it's for to teach others. What is the behind. Because more. a lot of people have the fixed idea that if you want to be successful in the entertainment industry, music or film industry, you have to go directly to the main television networks, and it's not like that. Many times, yeah, most of the time, you have to start with super small projects, step by step, and of course. But nowadays, I that's what I've been telling to other guests from independent industry, that now the independent films are getting more attraction, they're getting more power in comparison years before. For example, you can see, for example, Give the Wings, beautiful story. Looking forward to watch here and Texas, because it's a very inspirational, beautiful story. Starting with a book until Paul he put his hands in the screenplay, and it's expected like it's now in main platforms. In I'm not mistaken, is in Amazon, and also looking forward for major networks and why not in cinemas. And years before, none of these were happening. So now
Yeah,
people are waking up and start realizing that, appreciate the indie industry.
yeah. I mean, the internet has a lot, has really supported a lot of filmmakers. I think that's been the big boost for independent filmmakers and people who want to break in a career in the entertainment industry. Because you've obviously got your YouTubers like yourself and people who do video blogs and podcasting. And once you get comfortable doing something like that, that's where you can start taking the bigger steps, and you will eventually become known. People will. What program is it? There's a program called Hot Wings that I watch on YouTube, where
Mm-hmm.
it started off as a guy and his friends eating all these hot sauces and asking questions, and they have queues of celebrities wanting to be on it, and it's now a big thing out in the States, and we watch it on YouTube all the time. It's a great show, but it's something simple like that that can break you into the industry, and once you get recognition for doing
Mm-hmm.
something as easy as that, then you're on that roller coaster on your way.
Exactly, exactly. And now, for example, I see great filmmakers that making, huge, huge steps, and their films are distributed in big distribution companies, Paramount, Warner Bros. So before, we never see that, and to be honest with you, sometimes I see films that not much difference between uh, Hollywood or high budget films in comparison to low budget films, and the quality, I would say, is 99% the same, the same quality, and the story very beautiful. And but that's the purpose of this show, and to help each other to promote and continue supporting the independent industry, because that's also I call the freedom of creation. Nobody can control you.
That's exactly right. That's the whole point of independent filmmaking. You've got the freedom
Exactly.
to do what you want, how you want it, without the big executives telling you where your film's going to go and how they want to see it. It's that's a great thing about independent.
Exactly. And what about this one? But before that one, I always say, okay, we have to go for this one. It's like a one connect to another connect. You have to watch this, Give the Wings, because tell the story about Paul, very
Yep.
inspirational man, a person, a man who suffered from meningitis, and he suffered, strong challenges and discrimination, bullying, and all this past, and he overcome all the obstacles to become a
Mhm.
filmmaker and be successful in his life. And also, you can see a picture in the back for those people wants to see about Paul, and the beautiful charisma that he has, and non-stop. He has no excuses to be successful. I think he's a great example for anyone of us, not to look for excuses, not to reach our dreams. And then the second book, 100 of the Best Darlington Greatest Games, that he's a fan, and he always attending the games. Can you tell us about the documentary? You're working on this one, right? As a documentary for this particular project?
I am, yeah. We've called it "Don't Look Back," and it is all about Paul's love for football, how he came about writing the book. Well, I've actually interviewed a few now retired footballers, England footballers, Darlington footballers, who've all had their own special story about Paul, how they first met Paul, and just like how much his heart's in with his home team of Darlington. And despite his disability, he's travelled to away games up and down the country. He's goes to every match, and when he hasn't been able to go to the match, he's still managed to be like a presence somehow within the football game. Um, so the documentary is following him from telling the story about his love for Darlington Football Club, how he became a writer,
Mhm.
writing the script for Given Wings, and then writing this book, 100 of the Best, and where he's at now. So it's a nice little story where we've just, like I say, interviewed his friends, interviewed footballers who know him, and they've all just built this great story on Paul and how he's overcome his disability, and the fact that with Paul, you don't see he's disabled because he's not let his disability get the better of him. He's just want to plow with life as normal like any able person can do. And all credit to the guy for that. He's an ambassador for anyone who thinks they're having a bad day, or you feel down, or just something that's bothering you. You think, no, I can't do that. But when you see Paul, or Paul, you're thinking, no, actually, I can. If he can do something like that, I can do something like that. So it's a good story, pretty much an uplifting story, kind of kicking people up the bottom, just to say, don't feel down. Nothing's impossible. This guy can prove that nothing's impossible. So that's where we're going with the documentary.
Awesome. And when expected to be released, the documentary
It
expectation date?
is. It's due out the end of this year. It's
Mm-hmm.
the first edit is almost complete. We have actually got a representative of a UK TV channel who's actually going to view it, to give the feedback and possibility of showing it in the UK on television over here. So it's been getting some attention. We've also won some awards. We did an excerpt and threw it out on the festivals as a short, a trailer for it, and it started winning. I've won for best director, best editor. Paul's won for best producer for the documentary. So again, it's people are liking it. People like what they've seen so far. So it's quite exciting to get the full version of it finally out.
I was just thinking that the distribution and for the Give the Wings, but I was connected with the Wings first. Is expected? Do you have a specific expected date for United States?
Forgive Them Wings.
Yeah.
I believe it is due out. From what Paul's told me, possibly July, August.
Okay, good.
I know they're in talks at the moment. I know it's been released in South America.
Mm-hmm.
It's currently in South America, Australia, New Zealand, Scandinavia, the UK, and I believe in America it is. I think it's aiming for July time. It's going to be available.
I'm pretty sure Latin America. I'm also from Mexico. I'm a Mexican American. I'm pretty sure they will love the story. And I'm asking you this because it's like a series, like a sequel, kind of. Because Give Them Wings, we have 100 best. It's another part of a part of Paul, and then you have a documentary. Just an idea I have in my mind. I know it's gonna be 100%, success because you can see all the awards. Every time I
Yeah.
open my Facebook, Paul, I was selected. I got award. I got award. Wow, congratulations, Paul. My admiration, my respect, and also people are behind of this beautiful project. I was looking why not to be a television series. That's his story has to be in television series. Can you imagine?
You know what? It's probably has thought of the idea for it. Paul's constantly got ideas. He's got two more films lined up after when we've shot Solid Venom and done the documentary. He's got another film ready to go, and he's still working on a fourth. So it may happen. He might turn and say, "Do you know what? Yeah, this could be done as a TV series."
That would be awesome. I will be awesome because how many people will be connected with his story.
Well, that's
Doesn't
it.
matter if you are disabled or you're disabled. Doesn't matter. Everybody in somehow and some we are we. I think in other words, we are the ones who create our own obstacles. And
Hmm.
sometimes we are our best or the worst best friend.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, and
totally
I'm
agree with that.
thinking yes, and I think his story has to be, spread in so many ways in a documentary and feature film, and I have a feeling why not to be in television series. I think will be us.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea. That it would be a good inspirational TV program, and
Mm-hmm.
to watch. I know
Uh,
he's had ideas for Given Wings too. The more like from where the first film ended to things what are happening today. But he's kind of a bit unsure on where to go with that. But I might propose to him, just say, why not a TV series? Like you say, it's a good idea. Why not?
yeah, no, I see, I read the story, I read the book, and also having previous interviews with Ian Carter, learn about more Paul, be his friend. We built our friendship, I would say, for almost 2 years,
Hmm.
knowing. I don't know him in person, but you can feel the soul connection,
Yeah.
and you can tell. And I have a feeling. You're gonna say, Angela La Petina say that. I can see his story to be in BAFTA or an Oscar. I don't know, but I have a feeling. And then if that happens, you're gonna say, Angela, say
Yeah.
that.
If that happens, you'll get a thank
Yes.
you. Definitely. Yeah,
No,
I'm
no,
sure that you.
this is a feeling I have because but this is what we need. We need more films like this one. And I see, wonderful director, Sean Cronin, beautiful, wonderful person. And I see the work he does also as a director, and that's fabulous. And also fabulous cast, and Rachel Warren, I'm a big fan of her and all the rest people, and
Yeah.
give them wings. I'm pretty sure that people will fall in love completely with this film. Okay, what is the upcoming projects in addition with these two? I'm sorry, these three films that we mentioned. Do you have anything else you want to share on behalf of Paul? Because I'm looking
Ye-
forward to arrange one exclusively about you, but this one is Paul.
um, the next film project we're working on after Solid Venom is going to be a World War I story called John's Journey.
Mm.
Um, a great little story. He actually sent me the script to read over to for any ideas and what we could do with it. And it's with Paul. His script writing is you get drawn into the story. He's just one of them writers where from the first page your concentration's all on that story. You've got to know what happens next. You keep turning the pages. So it's a World War I drama based on a British soldier who falls in love with a German soldier. And obviously, back in World War I times in the 1918 era, obviously homosexuality was illegal, and that they obviously have to keep it very close to the chest, keep it a big secret. And then when war broke out, they ended up fighting obviously realizing they were fighting each other, but they couldn't hide the relationship anymore. Um, but it's a very touching, gritty, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, with being World War I based, but again, quite a beautiful story on what he's wrote. So again, it's another film I'm quite excited to work on with Paul. It's going to be great to see that script come to life and how he's envisaged it, and hopefully it's the same how I'm envisaging it. He has kind of hinted at me directing, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to. I'd rather keeping the producer side of things. I don't know if I would want to direct, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's our
Looking
next project.
Awesome. Looking for that one. I like this type of story. Like it's a real life fact. It's not a fiction. It's something with what happened years before. The homosexuality was a target. Was discriminated. And especially people were serving, were this they served for the military. It was worse, difficult, more difficult for them.
Mhm.
And then see that in a feature film, make it all the research, all the concepts to make it, in the screen, is something like those type of films I'm very fan to looking forward. I like those type of films.
Yeah, I'm more of a realist kind of writer. I mean, I love my films. I don't know if you can see behind me my vast collection of Blu-rays and DVDs. I love film, but there's quite a few films out there where I think a bit far fetched from my liking. But I do like realism in films, something you can
Yes.
either relate to, or something that you say, yes, if that would happen, that would be very horrific to live through, with things like that. And that's what I like about film. As a writer myself, I'm quite a realistic writer. I don't like the soppy endings where the hero wins. I like
Mm-hmm.
to put the bit of twist on where no, like, unfortunately, life can't be always like that. It can't be all a bed of roses, and it's you do have to have a sense of realism, and it's something that
Mm-hmm.
I believe you don't really taught. You're not taught in school as a child.
Mm-hmm.
The realities of growing up, which kind of film is touching on a lot now, which is good.
Exactly, exactly. No, no, it's true. I'm on the same page like you. And if you want to share something before we finish the interview, do you want to share something to the audience besides the upcoming project about the World War II? Anything else?
We have got a website for Solid Venom. If you want to follow
Mm-hmm.
everything that goes on there, we've got Facebook. We've got a website that's solidvenom.co.uk.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to keep up to date with the production, you can go to our production company, citylivebroadcasting.com, and keep up to
Yes.
date with any other productions we've got coming, because um, that's my production company. We're going to be working alongside with GTW Productions on a few projects now, so you can keep up to date with those. You've got the books that are
Yes, and for those
available on,
people, yes, yes.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
they're available. They're available on Amazon to buy. So if you want to buy them, you can buy them at Amazon.com. Please do, because they are really good books to read. Paul is a fantastic writer, and you do get drawn into the stories, even if you don't like football, or soccer as you call it in America. If you don't like that's what it's great to see, to have a story from a fan who is into that sport, and to see it from his perspective. It's a great book.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can find these textbooks in United States, also in Amazon Mexico, and also distributed in UK, of course, and I think it's already worldwide because it's in Mexico, United States, and you can find the book, and also the people that follow up. Interesting to watch this wonderful feature film, The Give Them Wings, Paul Hodgson true story. Looking forward to watch here in July in United States, and also looking forward in Mexico. I'm in both sides residing for some documentation purposes. I just temporarily also in the north, but also because I have a full time in McAllen, Texas, but I also live in the north of Mexico, so I'm connecting both sides. So looking forward to watch this not only in the United States, Texas, but also in Mexico. So awesome.
There's going to be another version of that coming out soon as well for Given Wings. Um, every film gets a director's cut. Paul's asked me to edit a producer's cut, so that's going to come later on in the year. Um, so it gives you like two different sides of the story, so you get a lot more in depth that he
Mm-hmm.
didn't really wasn't really available in the cinema version. So keep your eyes open for that as well, because that'll be coming soon.
Awesome. Looking forward for that. Well, thank you so much, Matt. Nice to meeting you. And
Nice meeting you.
looking
Thank you very much.
forward, yes, looking forward to meeting with you again. I will be connected to on Facebook to see if you're available to make an interview exclusively about your career for people to
Yep.
learn more about you and following your career. Thank you so much. And the last question I ask to all my guests for the inspiration purposes, what advice you can give to those people who wants to be in the film industry?
Never give up on your dreams. Your life is far too short to give up on any dreams. You will get a dozen knockbacks from the
Mm-hmm.
industry, but keep pushing. Be adamant. Just keep your hopes held high, because I'm nearly 50 now, and it's took me till this long to really break into the industry. Yeah, I've done small feature films throughout my career, but there are so many things in life that you will get knockbacks. It is a hard industry to break into, but if you're adamant you want to do it, keep to it. Really stick by your personality. Just any job or anything you want to go for, inspiration wise, you will get criticism. Criticism
Mm-hmm.
plays a big key. in the film industry and television industry, take it with a pinch of salt, as we would say in England. It's something that, yeah, okay, use it as feedback, as positive feedback. Anything negative, you turn into a positive. Take
Mhm.
that, build your strength, and push on. Never look
Yes.
back. Just keep going forward. Keep your focus on the career you want to aim for, because eventually you will get there.
Awesome. Thank you. Very good. Finally, 100% what you said. The feedback, the criticism is part of the journey. Sometimes it's not where is the final destination, it's just a journey. That's the most important. Enjoying, the trip. That's make it very more interesting, because sometimes we have a meant and like we imagine, or we have in mind some final destination, but that destiny take you, or they give you more surprises, a better surprise. So it's
Hmm.
not to give up, um, and just the key is the consistency, and do it, move forward. All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so
No
much,
problem.
Matt. And looking forward to meeting with you soon. I'll be connecting with you on Facebook, and I see you soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks, meeting you.